Jurgen Klopp, one of the best managers in world football and one of the best managers in the Premier League era, faced his biggest rival in Pep Guardiola this yesterday at Anfield, a game that was a top of the table clash between the two teams that are set to go for the Premier League title. So Manchester City traveled away to Anfield yesterday, and Liverpool in this game actually looked like the underdogs. But again, as I had predicted, Liverpool would be more dominant because of the Anfield's atmosphere. So in our video today, we're going to try and do an in-depth tactical analysis on how both Klopp and Guardiola approached this game, and how both these two excellent managers managed to go toe-to-toe against each other to ensure both their teams were able to get something out of this game, with Klopp looking more dominant than Pep, and Pep's City looking out of place for a first time in a very long time. So Liverpool lined up with their usual 4-3-3 formation. Though this formation was quite surprising. A lot of players were really missing in this formation, with Elliot starting in for Mo Salah, Kwanzaa starting in for Konate, Bradley starting in for Trent, and Gomez starting in for Andrew Robertson. And this was quite a weak lineup based on paper, but proved us wrong. Manchester City actually lined up with their most strongest lineup that we've seen in a very long time. And that lineup is the 3-2-4-1. And the only missing players were Diaz, and Akanji is just a solid replacement for Diaz anyway. And maybe Jack Grealish or Jeremy Doku, who did not start in the left wing, which was so instrumental. So Liverpool actually managed to dominate Manchester City in all phases of play. They had the better XG, more possession, more shots on target, more shots, but they had similar shots on target. But generally, Liverpool looked dominant throughout the game, and Manchester City are likely to get a draw at Anfield. How did this happen? That is what we're going to try and analyze. But before we do that, like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. So Liverpool Football Club really had some impressive tactics to showcase yesterday, and we are going to try and see which were they. So during build-up, both Virgil van Dijk and Kwanzaa will be dropping alongside Kelleher, giving him options on either side, with Wataru Endo and Alex McAllister dropping deep. So Manchester City, as usual, were pressing with their 4-4-2 or a 4-4-2 diamond system, and Liverpool had many ways to play through this system. First of all, in the initial phases of play, Kelleher would push forward and play as an extra centre-back, giving Liverpool an extra edge, with the Elliot coming in field and Bradley pushing high and wide earlier on, ensure that Elliot would form that box midfield for Liverpool, enabling Liverpool to easily pick those passes either long to Darwin Núñez, who would lay them down and allow Elliot and Szoboszlai to win the second balls, or when Elliot will receive the ball in between the lines and immediately progress. So Manchester City, after the first 15 minutes, really struggled to deal with Liverpool's build-up, and Liverpool managed to progress from the first build-up shape earlier on. So Elliot will move from the right wing position and come in field to play in the right half space region, allowing Conor Bradley to be pushing forward and holding the width down the right, forming that front five against Liverpool's back four. In this case, you will see Virgil van Dijk playing as the most center back, with Gomez and Kwanzaa playing alongside him in the defensive areas of the pitch. So Virgil van Dijk in this position, what you will see is that he will either attract one player to try and press him, because he's the most competent center back of the ball out of the three, and if Haaland will commit to press him, then he will manage to play the ball onto Wataru Endo, who was not afraid to hold the ball in these tight regions and play it simple, being able to pick players in between the lines. especially Dominic Szoboszlai. And when Szoboszlai will receive the ball in these kinds of position, what you will see is that Szoboszlai will be linking up with Luis Diaz down the left. And down the left is where we were so fascinated with the link-up play, because Diaz will be finding himself 1v1 against Kyle Walker. And throughout the game, we started to see how Diaz was getting the best out of Kyle Walker in this position, and actually giving him time and space to create opportunities from this position. Because of the position of Szoboszlai and Elliott, what we will see is Bernardo Silva will be pushing forward and Rodri will be the one to stay deeper. And because Rodri will be staying deeper and Manchester City will be in a 4-4-2 diamond, what we will see is Van Dijk will be switching the ball time and time again to Bradley or Luis Diaz, because Manchester City's backline was quite narrow, and Bradley in this position will be looking to advance with the ball and attempt to make crosses into the far post or the near post. Something that he did, but Liverpool did not manage to capitalize. Another thing we need to understand is how wide the Liverpool backline would spread, drawing in wingers to press them, and then having the chance to play the balls to McAllister in this midfield position, where McAllister will be looking to link up with Bradley, who will be looking to draw out Nathan Ake, especially down the right, where he will finally play the ball to Elliott. And we saw time and time again in the first half, Elliott having the ball and the time and space to pick passes in between the lines, especially for the runs of Liverpool's front line, who were willing to look to try and make those runs. Now, during the second half, earlier on, we started to see a tactical shift by Klopp, with Gomez coming in to play at right back, Szoboszlai also leaving, and we saw the introduction of Andy Robertson, who moved now to his more comfortable left-hand side, with Mo Salah coming in to play as the right winger, and the dynamics of the team changed. Now Diaz would start in quite narrow, with Robertson looking to hold the width down the left, with the Klopp looking to try to exploit Kyle Walker, especially down that left-hand channel. And this will be formed with Kwanzaa playing in the middle and Van Dijk moving to left-sided centre-back. And Salah in this position would either attempt to try and run past Nathan Ake or play that penetrative diagonal ball to Ruben Diaz. And he actually played it, but Diaz first touch let him down. If it was probably maybe Sadio Mane or Diego Jota in this position, maybe Liverpool would have actually finished this game quite earlier on, scored quite earlier on. So what else did we see in this tactical game? What we started to see again in this game is that Erling Haaland was tasked to be slightly deeper to try and cover one pivot, and this only left De Bruyne high up to be the one who would be tasked to press from the front. Now the situation that changed is that now Gomez started to invert in midfield, and now Liverpool had as many as 5 players in midfield, further overloading that Manchester City midfield region. And that's why we started to see Manchester City's midfield being dragged out of position, something that we don't usually see from Manchester City. And also having this hole in midfield enabled Liverpool to effectively employ the gegenpress to win the ball effectively throughout the 90. Now, Manchester City's team backline will shift across to try and cover Salah, and this will allow Elliott to shift the play, especially down the left, where Andrew Robertson will be looking to make an earlier cross for the runs of Liverpool's forward. That is predominantly how Liverpool tried to outplay Manchester City. So let's look at what Manchester City did. Though Manchester City were not quite as dominant as we expected them in this game, and it's not because Manchester City are a poor side, it's just that Liverpool yesterday were on a different level, and Jurgen Klopp had actually pulled a rabbit out of the bag. So Manchester City, as usual, will usually build from the back, with Rodri being joined by John Stones, who will push in midfield, and Ederson playing and acting as the left-sided centre-back. Now Liverpool will be pressing in a high 4-3-3 system, with the front line playing so narrow to limit as much central progression by Manchester City and force Manchester City to play the ball wide, especially wide towards their wide centre backs. And once the ball will be played wide, the Liverpool's front three were not afraid to immediately spring forward and press this backline. And since Liverpool had an extra man in midfield, what they will do is that they will use their two number 8s to immediately pounce on Manchester City's pivots, win the ball, and immediately begin that counter-attack situation. And these are some of the situations we saw Liverpool getting in the first half, and in the second half they were much more in charge of the game. Now, since Manchester City's centre backs were being covered, the two pivots were also being covered, Manchester City will have space higher up the pitch. But when they had 5 players committing forward, what you will see is that now De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva will be shifting across on either side to try and drag out Wataru Endo out of position. And especially down the right, Bernardo Silva will be coming deep, receiving the ball and flicking it on to Alvarez, who will be looking to attack the space left by Conor Bradley. But credit to Liverpool because Van Dijk was able to be making those blocks and cutting those cutbacks that were being made by Manchester City down that side. So Endo was more concerned about limiting De Bruyne's involvement into the game, and he successfully managed to do that. Now, when Manchester City were in settled possession, Liverpool will drop into a 4-5-1 system with their two midfielders sticking on to Liverpool's double pivot and the wide players looking to press Manchester City's centre-backs to deny them from progressing with the ball. But the two men in the half space will receive the ball sometimes on either side of Wataru Endo and try to double up against Liverpool's fullbacks and try to beat those fullbacks and progress with the ball forward. This was creating problems for Liverpool. And Manchester City did not have much control, and at times when they lost the ball, Liverpool will be quite aggressive to win the ball through an effective counter press and immediately launch those devastating counter attacks. But Liverpool's finishing was not quite great throughout the game, and that's why they did not manage to bag all the 3 points. So in this game, there was a controversy, especially in the final moments, which I believe Liverpool deserved a penalty because Doku committed a foul. And a foul inside the 18-yard space is usually a penalty. So that is Liverpool actually deserved a penalty. And Jurgen Klopp again has showcased why he is one of the most influential managers in world football, setting up a team that is able to play effectively against the top team in Europe. So, Arsenal are currently top of the league, 64 points and 46 goal difference. And they are followed with Liverpool, who are also in the same points, and Manchester City. It looks like a very tight title race, and all teams have the chance of going to win. But Liverpool look to be the ones that are having the best run of games compared to Manchester City and Arsenal. And if Liverpool manage to get their win at home against Spurs and win away at Old Trafford, where they have an impressive record, the title should be done. And Manchester City will be looking to host Arsenal next week, where they'll be looking to try and get them back in place. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to this channel for more videos. Bye.